Well, it's always better to get more jobs than you expect, but there were a couple of discouraging trends in today's numbers that are of particular concern to the folks who actually do create new jobs. Michael Levin is one of those. He is co-founder of the Job Creators Alliance. He also has a pretty good day job, by the way, as president and COO of the very successful Las Vegas Sands, and he joins us now in a Fox Business exclusive. Great to see you, Michael. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. What is your overall impression of the jobs report?
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here, David. I think the jobs report is not encouraging. I guess that would be the way I'd say it. Going from 7.6% unemployment to 7.5%, I don't think it's anything to really cheer about. Of course, it could have been worse, but I don't think it's encouraging because I don't think people like myself and my company and others are creating the kind of jobs that are necessary to drive this economy forward.
Now, this is very interesting, particularly on a day when we reach record numbers on the Dow, record numbers on the S&P. The investors seem to be fine with the report and think it's an encouraging sign. Do you think the market has it wrong?
Well, it's just my opinion. I don't think the investors are terribly concerned about a number like that. I think the investors are looking at company profits and what's been going on in those publicly held companies. Our report was terrific, but if you get underneath the numbers, you see where the money's coming from Asia and other places. And I think the low financing that companies have done to refinance their debt has created profits. But small businesses, medium-sized businesses, heavy service employee type businesses are not adding jobs. They're contracting jobs.
Now, there was an increase in the number of part-time workers. Total hours worked by American workers declined. That was a little depressing fact in there. And some people attribute it to Obamacare, the fact that if you have a full-time worker, you have to provide them with insurance now. If it's part-time, you don't. Do you think Obamacare played a role there at all?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question that people in many businesses are not letting people work over 30 hours, so they don't have to get involved with Obamacare. There are those small businesses that will not go over 50 employees per business because they'll have to go into Obamacare. I don't think the danger and the danger and the damage that Obamacare will do has even come to pass for many companies yet, but it's coming down the road.
Now, one of the things that I keep hearing from you and from the Chamber of Commerce is that if you really want to increase jobs, government has to make it cheaper to create jobs. And instead, they seem to be going in the opposite direction with Obamacare, with calls for raising the minimum wage, which might hurt particularly the unemployed black teenagers. Is the government making it easier or more difficult to hire people?
Well, that's an easy answer. I think the psychological environment that this government has created in the United States is impeding jobs at every single level. There's no confidence. The amount of regulation, the amount of difficulties, particularly for startups and ongoing businesses, it's very, very difficult to continue to create. And I think everybody's waiting. They're waiting for something to change so that the government, in fact, incentivizes job creation instead of eliminating that incentive.
So how to do it, Michael? Because, you know, President Obama's not going to wake up tomorrow and say, I made a mistake with Obamacare, I withdraw it. I mean, he's going to continue with that. What is reasonable to expect? You guys are lobbying all the time for getting rid of regs that block job creation. What would be the most important thing we could actually get done?
Well, I actually hope that the Job Creators Alliance and other businesses like our own can essentially educate our employees to vote the appropriate way to change the rules. Without that, we can't change the rules. It's up to our government to change the rules, and that has to come from the people. At some point in time, I believe people are going to get fed up because their children are not getting jobs. It doesn't look like their future is going to be terrific, and they're going to change. So we try as job creators to educate our people to make it better for other people to work. And I think that's the answer. We must let people know what is going on.
You're in Las Vegas, of course, the crown jewel of the gambling empire. Vegas was hit very hard by the housing downturn, and a lot of people say the housing isn't going to completely turn around until the jobs picture improves, that low interest rates are not enough to bring the buyers out into the market. What do you think of that?
Well, if you look at low interest rates, what's happening is people are refinancing. So they're paying less for their mortgage. However, the taxes have gone up, so they're just paying that, using that money to pay their taxes. If you look at new buyers for housing, I don't think it's a great amount of new buyers. People are still staying in rental environments because they're afraid of what's going to happen. They don't have the disposable income, and they're worried about their jobs.
We got to run, Michael, but do you think that the slowness of job creation and economic growth in general is going to catch up with the market over the next couple of months?
Well, I'm not a person that predicts the market. I really can't give you that answer. I can only give you my opinion. But I think in the long run, our economy has got to suffer from the kinds of situations that we find ourselves in by legislation and regulation. And unless we change those, at some point in time, the market is going to reflect what the future is, and it's not going to be as pretty as anyone thinks.
Michael Levin, Chief Operating Officer of Las Vegas Sands and co-creator of the Job Creators Alliance. Michael, please come back and see us. You've got sage advice. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much, David. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.